show in which the hacker who is ruining people's lives is actually the good guy. Never would have thought that would have happened. Hello once again, watchers of Good TV. My name is Nick Pell and this is once again coming from my apartment. Now today we are doing a type of review that I have not done in a very long time, and it is a TV show review, and it is for the show Mr. Robot. This is covering the first season of Mr. Robot, and I will be going into full spoilers by the end of this review. So if you have not seen the full first season of this show, probably go and watch that and then come back and watch this review, because again, the show is already halfway through its second season, so I'm just presuming if you've watched this, you are probably already through at least season 1. The star of the show is Rami Malek, who I have only ever seen actually in the video game Until Dawn. And in the show he plays a hacker named Elliot, and he's a very introverted person. He stays in his apartment in the dark and hacks people, and he just gets kicked out of life as a result of that, and he's very depressed. He does morphine, I think it was. He does drugs, basically, and that's what keeps him focused, and that's how he's able to just do all these things throughout the night. He's very smart, he's good with technology, and he hacks people who are doing bad things. If he sees someone who's suspicious, he will hack them, figure out their secrets, and expose them if necessary. And so that's what about the first half of this show covers. Now, I will say this, I watched the show kind of just gradually over the course of about 2 months or so, because I didn't get into it, honestly, by the first episode. I was just kind of just watching it here or there because I heard it was really good and I wanted to get through season 1. And so, again, just watched it over the course of a couple months. And so if I forget things or I get little things wrong from the beginning of the show, I apologize. Correct me in the comments. But a lot of the first half of this season focuses on Elliot going about his day-to-day life, hacking people who are necessary, and working at his job at Allsafe, and interacting with friends that he has known for a while, such as Angela, played by Portia Doubleday. And she does a very good job. She is a longtime friend of Elliot's from childhood, and both of their parents died as a result of e-corp. And that's this giant company over the course of the show who just is in charge of essentially of the world and runs a lot of the corporations in the United States and other countries around the world. And this more or less represents kind of corporations in today's society. It's like, oh hey, there are these companies which are just using people for profit, and they don't really care who gets hurt as a result of what they do sometimes. And so the show is very obviously using e-corp as a representation of just how vastly influential corporations are in today's society. But in the first episode, he ends up in this group called F Society, and it is run by Christian Slater. And all that we really know about him is that his name is Mr. Robot. We don't really get a name outside of that. And also in this group we meet up with Darlene, played by Carly Chaikin. She has a very interesting role throughout the course of the season, and I really enjoyed her. She's really the only significant other member of this group outside of the other side characters who have purposes in certain episodes, but otherwise they're really just stand-in side characters. And then one aspect of the show which I really enjoyed is the fact that we get to see what is happening inside of e-corp, inside this giant corporation, and we see that through the eyes of Tyrell. And he's played by Martin Wallstrom, and he has the goal of being this really high up CEO type of character, type of person in e-corp, and so he's running for that position, and that is his ambition over the course of this season, and he and his wife are really just plotting to get that position. And so I just found that to be really interesting, because he and Elliot come face to face by the end of the first episode, but over the course of the season they don't really see each other very much, and they don't really know that the other person is really all that necessary. And so it's two completely different stories that are being told until they come together by the end of the season. Rami Malek, he does a phenomenal job as Elliot. He's easily the star of the show. He's the favorite part to watch. He just has such a complexity to him as a character, because you don't know if he's crazy a lot of times, because he has kind of that Francis Underwood from House of Cards appeal, where he is talking to the audience essentially. He's not looking and breaking the fourth wall, but he is mentally just talking to us. And he realized that after a point where he is just asking us what we want to do. And when other characters who are able to kind of see that and kind of get into his psyche, start to address, hey, they can't help you, addressing the audience. It's kind of an interesting situation and something that I really, really enjoyed seeing. And just over the course of the season, he has things where he'll just forget what's happening, or he'll just lose track of a couple days, and you don't know why that is or where his mind was, and he just becomes different people, and he doesn't remember it. And so the only person that we really see is the Elliot hacker. We don't see him as these other personas. And so it's really interesting and something that I really hope that they focus on in the second season. Maybe they have. I don't know. I haven't watched any of season 2 as of filming this. Now, the idea of F Society, this group that Elliot ends up joining into, is that they want to basically hack the world's, I believe, financial system and basically free society, because society is essentially controlled by money, controlled by greed, and therefore controlled by corporations who are going to be able to influence those decisions and therefore influence the money revenue. So when it's just described how they're going to justify hacking the system, crippling a ton of economic systems and crippling the world as a result, it's just really, really interesting how they decide to do that, because you have to get the audience on your side in order to support something like this, or else you're just really going to have the audience hoping that you fail by the end of the season, and that's just no fun. I think that is becoming a common theme nowadays, is like, oh hey, protect the little guy against the big corporations, because the big corporations are going to try to control your life. And it's just an interesting thing that's starting to show up more and more in both movies and TV shows nowadays. Well, the show does move a little bit slow. As I said, it took me a couple months to really get through this season as a result. And so it does just kind of move slow. It doesn't really cover a ton of ground until about the second half of the season. And that's where it just buckles down and gets really, really, really good and really, really interesting. And that's where it just had me caught. And that's why I watched the last 3 episodes tonight, and now I'm talking about this show. And so we're going to get into it. So again, if you have not seen the end of season 1, stop watching here, because there are huge revelations I'm going to get into and huge spoilers, so you have been warned. The 8th episode of the season reveals that Darlene and Elliot are brother and sister, which is a huge revelation, which you didn't really see coming, because you just thought, oh hey, she's this other hacker chick who is just really good. She cares about Elliot for whatever reason. And I just thought that, oh hey, she's gaining affection for him, or there's some thing that she looks up to him as a leader for, or something along those lines. And then once he leans in to kiss her and she just revolts back, I started to piece it together before you even said it. It's like, oh shit, they're related. And that's just a huge revelation in and of itself. But in that same episode, Elliot puts together that Christian Slater's character is his father, and his father has been dead for a number of years, and so he's basically seeing the ghost of his father everywhere. And it's just a very interesting thing. It blew my mind, honestly, when I saw that episode take place, and it reminded me why I loved watching TV shows, and I need to watch more shows now. And so that's really the huge revelations which the show has towards the end of the season. We also have the giant hack, which ends up happening. We don't actually get to see it executed, which kind of bugged me, but we do see the after effects of it. Essentially, Elliot wakes up in Tyrell's car. Tyrell joins F Society to an extent. We don't really know what happens at the end of episode 9 leading into the beginning of episode 10. And so we don't really know what Tyrell's role in the huge hack was. And so I'm assuming that that's been revealed by now in season 2. But a couple things I want to touch on with the finale, because I really enjoyed the finale for the most part. I think the idea of Angela now joining e-corp, this corporation which she has despised over the course of the season, her and Elliot both, is going to be a really interesting thing to see play out in season 2, especially if she starts to enjoy it, if she starts to enjoy the power and starts to just become influenced by this group. I think that's going to be really, really interesting. We also now have Elliot versus Christian Slater, Mr. Roa. He is basically trying to get this guy out of his head, and he's not going to leave him alone. And so I think it's going to be a really interesting psychological conflict which Elliot has, because he doesn't know if he's crazy, and essentially he is a little bit crazy and mentally unstable. And so I'm going to be really curious to see what they do with his character in regards to keeping him both sane and just trying to fight off Christian Slater's influence. We also don't really know what's going on with F Society now, because they have succeeded. There's no longer any evidence that can tie them to the major hack which happened. So I'm really curious to see what they do with this group now that their plot has succeeded and they have done their hack. And so what does the future hold for this group? And probably the biggest question, which I'm hoping will be addressed in the first episode of season 2, is what is up with Tyrell? Where did he go to, and what's going on with him? Because I think that he and Elliot as a team would be a very, very interesting dynamic to see play out throughout a season, because they didn't really do a whole lot together as a duo in season 1 outside of the premiere and the 9th episode. And that was one episode in between. And so I just really enjoyed their dynamic because I think they're two very, very intelligent people who just know how to play the game really, really well. And so I'm really curious to see if they have a lot more scenes together in the second season and see what ends up happening as a result of this hack. So guys, Mr. Robot Season 1, I didn't go into a ton of details about it, but I really, really enjoyed this season. I think that's a really, really good show. If you have not checked it out and you have watched this far, you now know what to expect with the show, but definitely check it out if you're interested. I'm definitely going to be diving into Season 2 shortly. I will hopefully do a Season 2 review once that season finale happens in about a month, I believe. So I'll be looking forward to that. So yeah, Mr. Robot Season 1, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Did you like it as much as I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Please don't leave any Season 2 spoilers in the comments, just for my sake and for others who might not have started the season yet. Just please don't do that. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe though, if you so choose. I'd appreciate it immensely. And as always, for people, my name is Nick Pell. And once again, keep on watching.